What is it that you're building your life on? What's your foundations? And how rock solid are they? Stop for a second and think about that. How rock solid are they? Because if you lean into something, if you build your life on something that was never meant to bear that weight, if you're building on something that was never meant to carry a sense of purpose and meaning and security and to give you self-worth and to make you give you a sense of belonging, if you lean into something that was never meant to give you all those things, you'll hit two problems, and you might have experienced this, that if you're not basing your life on the right things, you can hit two problems. And the first problem you can hit is what I call a double blow, as it were, where you get, it's easiest to give you an example really on what the double blow is. Let's imagine that you're someone who takes a lot of pride in your health. All right, you're very active, maybe you do sport or you run, and it gives you a sense of identity, a sense of power. You feel that you are someone. You don't just enjoy it, but you get a lot of meaning from it, being healthy, being fit. Then let's just imagine that an illness strikes you down and you're no longer fit and healthy as you once were. If you get a sense of purpose and meaning from your health, then when your health goes, you get a double blow. You get the heartache of not being fit and healthy, which is difficult in itself. But if you're getting meaning from that, if you feel that you're valuable because of that, then you get a double blow, because you don't just lose your health, but you lose meaning as well. Or let's imagine that you feel like your value, your self-worth, meaning comes from how your kids perform as they go up. And let's imagine that one of your kids go off the rails and struggles. Then you have a double blow, the double blow of not just being upset about your kid, but then you've lost your sense of self-worth as well, that you're valuable. And so you get this kind of double blow. Whenever we lean into something and we put our foundations on something that was never meant to bear that, whenever something bad happens or that's threatened, you get the kind of double blow of not just losing the thing itself, but also whatever it represents. And then there's a second problem if you lean in, and if your foundations is something that was never meant to carry those things, never meant to carry security and a full sense of meaning and purpose. There's a second problem, and this one's a bit more subtle, but if it was never meant to carry that, the fact that you try and get meaning and purpose and identity from it in itself stops you getting it. If it was never meant to carry that. Let me illustrate. Let's imagine relationships. Let's imagine that you're seeking a relationship, and you're not just seeking a relationship because you would like to have a relationship and connect, but in the words of Jerry Maguire, you think, actually, I want a relationship because it'll make me complete. It will complete me. And so you're leaning into that relationship, not just for the relationship, but actually for something much bigger than that, a sense of being a valid human being, a sense of being loved and belonged. It's kind of fulfilling some of the deepest things in your soul. And then what happens when you get somebody seeking a relationship that is so desperate for a relationship, that becomes across as so needy, it becomes so important to them, they just have to have a relationship, then their chances of getting a relationship actually are much less. The fact that it becomes too important stops the thing happening in the first place. Or let's imagine that someone, it's about money and it's about spending money, not just because they enjoy it, but actually that's where they get their comfort, their security, by wearing new shoes, new clothes, a new phone. That itself gives them identity and a self-worth. Then what happens is that they overspend because they're getting not just the pleasure, but some deep things from what they buy. So then they overspend and they have less money. And so actually the money they need to spend, they've even got less of it. And it kind of gets into a vicious cycle because it's too important to them. When you lean on something that's never meant to give you those things, you can actually stop getting the thing in the first place. Two problems. I wonder what your foundations are. I wonder what you're building on. And I wonder how rock solid it really is.